My grandmother used to sit with me in the evenings and tell me what her own grandmother told her about the body, about listening, before it's too late to listen. She said most people only hear their heart when it's already shouting. By then, she said, you've missed the whisper. I think about that a great deal, especially when I think about being alone, not in a crowd, not in a waiting room with someone beside you, alone, in your own kitchen, in your own chair, when something in your chest feels wrong and there is no one else in the house to see your face change. Your hands feel heavy and unfamiliar. Your jaw aches in a strange place you can't quite name. There's a tightness sitting on your chest like a stone you didn't ask for and didn't invite. And the thought that comes first, almost every time, isn't fear. It's doubt. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'll just sit a minute and it will pass on its own, the way so many small aches have passed before. That doubt is the most dangerous, quiet thing sitting in the room with you, not the pain itself. The doubt. I have heard so many stories over the years of people who waited. Not because they didn't notice something was wrong. They noticed. They simply talked themselves out of trusting it. They thought of all the reasons it might be nothing, and none of the reasons it might be everything. I think of an elder I once sat with, who spoke about a hard winter long before I was born, when help was a long ride away, and people had to know in their own bodies what to do before anyone could reach them. She wasn't telling me this to frighten me. She was telling me so I would carry it forward, the way it had been carried to her, and the way I want to carry it to you now. This is for anyone who has ever sat alone with a feeling in their chest and wondered if it was worth bothering anyone over. It was. It always is. And today I want to share what was carried down to me, about what your own two hands can do in those minutes before help reaches you, not instead of help, alongside it. Hold on to that difference, because it matters more than almost anything else I'll say today. The old ones paid close attention to the body because no one was coming to explain it to them. They didn't have machines to read what was happening inside. They had only what they could feel and what they passed down, careful and exact, about what those feelings meant. A heaviness in the chest, a tightness that spreads to the arm, the jaw, the back, a sweat that comes from nowhere on a day that isn't hot, a breathlessness that arrives sitting still, doing nothing at all. These were never treated as small things. They were treated as the body's only language, and the body does not waste words. It does not exaggerate. When it speaks this plainly, it means exactly what it says. What I notice now, all these years later, is how many people have been taught to wait. Wait and see. Wait until it's worse. Wait until tomorrow. Because tonight is inconvenient. Because there's company coming. Because you don't want to be the one who made a fuss. I understand that instinct. No one wants to trouble anyone over something that might pass on its own. But the elders had a different relationship with waiting. They waited when waiting was safe. They acted the moment it wasn't. They knew the difference because they paid attention long before the moment ever arrived. Not only in the middle of it. Paying attention was not fear. It was respect for a body that had carried them their whole lives through hunger and hard work and years they didn't always expect to see. I think part of why we've lost that habit is that we've been taught the body is complicated, something only a chart or a machine can explain. And in many ways, it is complicated. But the signs of real danger were never meant to be complicated. They were meant to be plain enough that a frightened person, alone with no one to ask, could still recognize them and act, the same way you'd recognize smoke before you ever saw the fire itself. So before anything else, I want you to know the signs, plainly, the way they were taught to me, and the way I want them taught to you. Chest pressure that doesn't ease, even when you change position. Pain reaching into the arm, the jaw, sometimes the back, sometimes both arms at once. Sudden sweat, with no heat and no exertion to explain it. Sudden shortness of breath, sitting still, doing nothing at all. If you feel these things, alone or not, this is not the moment for doubt. This is the moment the old ones would have told you to trust your own body completely, the way you would trust a friend who has never once lied to you. A heaviness that comes with nausea, or a sudden, unexplainable tiredness, deserves that same trust. The body rarely speaks twice before it stops speaking gently. Listen the first time. Here is the one instruction that matters more than any other I will share with you today. Call for help immediately, not in 10 minutes, not after you see if it passes, not after you finish what you were doing or decide you don't want to be a bother at this hour. Now, I say this first and loudest because everything else I'm about to tell you is meant to support you in the minutes while help is on its way, not instead of it. Never instead of it. Nothing I share today replaces that call, and nothing in our tradition was ever meant to. The old ones did not have telephones, but they understood the same truth in their own way. When something is beyond what your own hands can mend, you call out, and you call out early. Once help is on its way, there are old, simple practices that can ease the burden on a struggling heart while you wait. Unlock your door, if you're able, so no one loses precious time getting to you. Keep your phone close enough to reach without standing or walking far. These aren't sacred secrets. They're plain wisdom, the kind passed down because it works, season after season, home after home, long before any of us were born. Then sit. Don't pace. Don't push yourself up to move toward anything across the room, however small it seems. The old ones understood something simple about the body that still holds true today. A struggling heart asks for less, not more. Every step, every rush of fear, every shallow breath asks your heart to work harder, right when it has the least left to give. Stillness isn't giving up. Stillness is help given by your own body to itself in the only language it has left. Breathe slowly. In through the nose, slow. Out through the mouth, slower still. This was leaned on by our elders in every hard moment, not only this one, the storm, the grief, the long winter with too little food and too much worry. Slow breath calms a frightened body, and a calm body asks less of a struggling heart. It always has, and it costs nothing to practice it now, before you ever need it, so it comes easily when you do. And there is one more thing, carried by many of our people for generations, long before medicine came, in bottles and pharmacies lined the towns. Hawthorn berry. Our elders turned to it, dried and steeped into a warm drink, as something believed to support a tired heart, something kept close in the home for comfort in hard seasons. I want to be honest with you about what this is and what it isn't. It is not a treatment. It does not stop what is happening, and it does not replace the call you've already made. It is something carried alongside it, the way a hand on the shoulder is carried alongside good medicine, not instead of it. Comfort, while help is on its way to you. I want you to trust these instructions, not because I've raised my voice about them, but because they are simple enough to remember in a moment when nothing else feels simple, when fear makes even easy things feel far away. Unlock the door. Keep the phone close. Sit down. Don't fight your body by moving it. Breathe slow, in and out, the way the old ones did in every hard season they survived, long before anyone wrote it in a book. And if hawthorn is something you keep in your home, let it sit beside you, the way comfort always has, not instead of help, but alongside it, quietly, the way good company sits with you in a hard hour and asks nothing of you but your presence. None of this asks you to be brave in some big, dramatic way. It only asks you to be still and clear-headed in the minutes that matter most. That stillness is not weakness. It is the oldest medicine we have, and it costs you nothing to carry it with you starting today, in your own home, in your own chair, long before you ever need it. If you live alone, or someone you love does, this is worth saying out loud to them, plainly, before it's ever needed, not to frighten them. Just so they know, the way I'm telling you now, what their own hands can do, and what their voice on a telephone can do, faster than anything else in that room. Write the signs down somewhere you'll see them often. Tape them by the phone or by the door. Tell someone you trust where that phone lives in your home, so they could find it too, quickly, if they ever needed to find it for you instead of you finding it yourself. A small piece of paper, taped where your eyes land every morning, has done more good than people realize. I think this is part of what the old ones understood about living well into age. It was never only about strength or about doing everything alone to prove something. It was about being ready, quietly, in small ways, long before the hard day arrives, so that when it does arrive, you are not searching for the door key or the phone charger while your own body is asking for help. Readiness to them was a kind of care you gave yourself in advance, the same way you'd put up food for a winter you knew was coming. I want to say one thing clearly, because I respect you too much not to. What I've shared with you today is heritage. It is comfort, passed down with care, from hands I will never know to hands I hope reach you. It is not a treatment, and it does not stand in place of calling for help the moment something feels wrong in your chest. Please don't let anything I've said today become a reason to wait, even a little while, even to be sure, even to be polite about it. Know the signs. Call first. Always first. Sit still. Breathe slow. Let comfort sit beside you, not in place of help, but alongside it, the way it always has for our people in every hard season we have lived through together and the ones still ahead of us. I hope you carry this with you, not as something to worry over, but as something quiet you keep close, the way you'd keep a warm coat by the door, for a cold you know will come eventually. You may never need it, but if you do, I want you to already know what your hands can do, without having to search for it in a moment when searching is the last thing your body can afford. That's really what all of this comes down to. Not fear, not waiting for the worst, hoping it never comes. Just knowing ahead of time, in your own quiet way, so that if the day ever comes, you're not meeting it empty-handed. Next time, I want to tell you about what was carried down for the long ache in the joints, the kind that settles in with the cold and never fully leaves no matter how many winters pass. Stay close so you don't miss it. What the land gave freely, we are only now learning to receive again.